So, we actually have some information about the Google Pixel Fold. Well, based on the fact that they still have not come up with an actual official name for the Google Pixel Fold. And right now, they're just going with the Google Pixel Fold, but apparently this name could change any day now. So, yes, we are actually going to be receiving the Google Pixel Fold. Recently, I made a video talking about how, yes, there are actual renders of what this phone would look like. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here. Shout out to my man's right here. Let me go ahead and actually bring up his... Can I bring up his channel correctly? Hang on, let me see. I'll make sure I bring up his channel so I give him the correct shout out. My man right there, Front Page Tech, who went ahead and posted this because this is, again, our first actual look of renders of this phone. And to be honest, it looks very beautiful. I have to give it props where props are due. This phone does look like a masterpiece of a phone. And based on what I understand, they're going to go international with this phone. It's not just going to be released in China, but it will be internationally. You can get this phone pretty much at any store, which is an absolute W until we talk about the price tag. This phone, while it is so gorgeous and beautiful, is going to be $1,800. Yup, you heard me correctly. This phone, while absolutely gorgeous, is going to be $1,800. It also does have a fully metal body, which, yes, it's going to be heavy. That's going to be a problem for some people. Not everybody, but some people. We don't know anything about the inside display, if there's going to be a crease or not. We don't know anything about that. But there's no inside camera. So you have on this phone, one outside and two inside. You have no under display camera or anything. So the inside display is completely untapped. Like, there's no problems with any kind of cameras being popping out or, disrupting your media. It is fully there, which I find interesting. I definitely find interesting. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the controversial issues people are having with this phone. Also, just a side note here, let me go back to this real fast. It does have a fingerprint reader on the side. I didn't mention that, but I think that's kind of common with all affordable phones nowadays. A fingerprint reader on the side. It does also have a 5G antenna, which is actually what you see, I believe, in here. There's actually a 5G antenna right here. So I actually thought it was an under-display camera for a second, but no, it's actually a 5G antenna. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at all the controversial comments. First comment, the Google Pixel appears to be a mismatch of design elements we see in other foldable phones, which, of course, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but might be disappointing for those who expected to see something relatively more original from Google, like the Pixel 6 series, for example. To be honest, it's an Oppo Find 5G. That's what this phone is. It's a bigger Oppo Find 5G. Which works. It works. It gets the job done. And people are going to be excited about the phone. A lot of people have backed the Oppo Find 5G. Period. It gives you everything you want and a cup of tea. Now, there are some limitations to that phone. Not too many, but there are some limitations that people don't like. And this phone will hopefully add on to that phone, because that phone is $1,200 and this phone is $1,800. I'm sorry, but that price tag is ridiculous. It really is ridiculous, that price tag. In age of punch hole cameras, it is weirdly refreshing to see a perfectly uninterrupted display, so the Pixel Fold's inner screen gets a controversial thumbs up from me. Again, I don't understand the premise of an inside camera anyway. Samsung gives you a 4 megapixel under display camera. Microsoft gives you, well, with the Surface Duo 1, they give you a camera. It's not just inside, it's period. You get one. Duo 2 does too. I don't really see the premise. There's never a time where I'm using my Z Fold 4 and I'm holding it like this and I'm like, dang, man, I really want to video chat someone, or I want to actually take pictures and videos. I don't really see the issue with it. I don't really see the premise of having one. Anyway, though, let's go to the next comment. Like, completely click on the wrong thing right here. We don't have information about the refresh rates yet, but we can assume they'll both be 90 hertz panels. So obviously the front panel and the inside panel. To be honest, at $1,800, you gotta make that 120 hertz across the board. Samsung has done it, and they pretty much, if you're gonna charge that premium of a price, you kind of have to kind of match what Samsung has. 1,800 is the price tag. You have to match it 120 hertz. Of course, the Surface Duo 2 has 90 hertz for each panel, but it is also $1,500. So again, I really feel like you do have to match that in that category. It is coming with the Tensor G2 chip, which is absolutely a W. This chip is going to be crazy fast. And of course, hopefully it can be a combination of like really fast and actually optimized software for this phone. Hopefully it's not like, oh, this chip is so powerful, but the software crashes every single 10 seconds because it's not ready for this phone. Now, of course, this will be running Android 12L based on what I understand. It will not be running Android 13. That's interesting. I'm hoping everything works out there. But another thing they talk about here is battery life. Okay, you're charging $1,800 for this phone. The battery life has to be at least more than 6 hours. And you might say, oh, well, obviously, that's the obvious thing. Yeah, until you realize that Samsung released the Z Flip 3 that has a 6-hour battery life. So, yeah, it has to be really good. And then cameras. They talk about cameras too, because obviously, yes, you have the 3 cameras, one right here, 2 right here, and then one right here. They say will have the same sensor as the Pixel 7a, which of course is either they're going to talking about a Samsung camera of Samsung sensor. Let me actually read this exactly what they say here. Where did they put this? Okay, so I think they talk about this later one, but there's 2 different sensors. There's one made by, I think they're both made by Samsung, but one is smaller and one is bigger. One we see in the Galaxy S22 Ultra. We also see that same exact sensor in the Z Fold 4. So they're talking about which sensor they're going to use. My guess would be they're going to use whatever the best sensor is. I don't really see at $1,800 you're going to really sacrifice that kind of thing. It's really freaking heavy. Yep, it's a fully metal body. Just like the iPhones being stainless steel and the Z Fold 4 being a metal body, you're gonna deal with weight. Just how it works. There's nothing you can really get around that, which is kind of one of those things. What confuses me here is Google usually is willing to lose money in order to sell more phones, with the Pixel 6 and 7 being the living proof. The reason why the price tag is $1,800 is, first off, yes, it's revolutionary. Yes, they're adding a lot of components that cost a lot of money. But it's also Samsung set the price tag. Samsung set the price tag at $1,700. And if their only real competition is Samsung, because Microsoft right now is running down the road with their tail between the legs, then Samsung dictates the market pretty much. And Google can come in and say, listen, we're going to come in the same exact price tag, a little bit more. Actually, no, it's literally the same exact price tag at Samsung. So that's what they're doing. They're not going to sell for cheaper, not because of the fact that, they hate the consumer or they hate customers. It's because they want to compete exactly with Samsung. So that's really why. And he said right here, I thought it was launched at $1,500. Not if Samsung is selling their phone at $1,700. But with how much Samsung is discounting Z Fold 4, you would honestly think that they might actually sell for less money. I'm hoping a high price doesn't indicate that Google's launching an affordable phone just for the purpose of performing a pilot test of Android 12L, which is Google's Android version for tablets and foldable devices. They're not releasing this phone as a pilot for 12L. They're releasing this phone to see if they can get in this market. They're releasing this phone to see if they can actually make profit and take over this market and be a real competitor to Samsung. That's why they're joining. They're not joining because of the fact that they want to test out 12L. They've already seen 12L has been very much hit or miss on the Surface Duo 2 and worked perfectly fine on the Z Fold 4. Not perfect fine, there's some issues with Z Fold 4. But they've seen that already. This is not a pilot test for that. The pilot test is to see if they can get in this, and they can join this game, they can join this space and make a profitable business model off of it. That's what they're doing. They realize how much money is being made off these foldable phones, and that's why they went for it. And then right here, they're just talking again about the weight and saying how if you use it in tablet mode, it's going to be really freaking heavy. It will be. It's metal. That's just how you kind of have to deal with it. And it is, again, a Touch ID bar on the right-hand side, which is really cool. If I were using Android, I would absolutely consider the Pixel Fold. I love my Pixel 3 and told myself I'd hold off until the Fold launch. But I'm using iPhone now and won't be giving that up. So I'm thinking about getting a Pixel tablet next year. Okay, I'm not sure why you even mentioned that on a Pixel Fold. That's not really you making criticism about it. It's just you saying, hey, listen, I like iPhones. Well, it's about to come out until next year. Looks nice, though. It is coming out next year. So, not coming out yet. If I did go Android, I would get this over Samsung's Fold. But why? You don't... What? This is what I don't understand. You don't know anything about this phone. Like, yes, we have seen renders. We know what it looks like. We know the price tag, and we know probably the spec list, and we know the price. But you don't know if it's going to have a crease down the middle. You don't know if it has wireless charging. You don't know if it's waterproof. You don't know any of that stuff. That's a broad statement to make right now. With little information, if we know more information, I would say, okay, but with little information, that's kind of just you trying to say, like, oh, this phone looks awesome. I wonder if Google are deliberately allowing the price tag to leak so they can come along nearer release and surprise everyone with a sub $1,799 Fold, so it looks like a great value. That's possible. I doubt it, but that's possible. It's one of those things where it's like, I think what they're doing is trying to just get the market to understand, like, you know, Samsung, listen, you're not the only dog in town, and we're going to go toe-to-toe with you. I don't really think it's them trying to, you know, say we're going to release it differently in any capacity. And this obviously is the Extra Guy YouTuber. So overall wise, like I said, it's a cool looking phone. I like the concept. I like how it looks. It looks neat. And it's an Oppo Find 5G, but bigger. And that gets the job done. And I think it's going to sell for what it needs to sell. It's going to sell $1,800. It's going to be one of those phones. When the Z Fold 2 came out, Z Fold 2 and 3, it was a phone that really only tech enthusiasts got, and many other people simply either couldn't afford it or didn't want to pay the price tag of it. And that's really what we're going to see with this phone. It's going to be a phone that is very similar to the Surface Zero 2, Oppo Find 5G, and Z Fold 4. I'll say overall wise, I'm going to pick one up for the channel, but that's pretty much that. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.